Will you just slap your neighbor and tell him I've been lifted? Oh, no, say it like you mean it. Shut your mouth, devil. I've been lifted already. It's too late.
Welcome to the ANWA Beyond Sunday podcast, where we are dedicated to helping believers integrate their faith into everyday life. We're all back together.
Oh, God.
Welcome.
Almighty.
That was so good. That was so good. We're still in the learning series on the church.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And we are talking about local congregational responsibility. What does that mean, Dre?
I'll say this because I really believe that Grenade Dave is going to really aerial assault us.
I love how he just kept.
I love it. But so good at it. In this day and age, we have a lot of criterias and rubrics and even syllabus on how leaders should be in the church. And this is what your pastor should look like, and this is what the elders should be doing. And we actually don't have a job description for the local congregation. Isn't that crazy? God. How the congregation gets to tell the leaders what they should be doing
and no one
without
should.
A job. Ain't that crazy?
Okay.
That's wild.
But
all right.
I'm sure that your grenade is ready now.
Tee up is ready.
First one out.
I mean, I don't really even know that I have a grenade, but I think if you think about the instructions for the New Testament church, that's most of the epistles are outlining how we should be as believers. And while somehow maybe this is the grenade, right? The church has somehow ascribed all of those responsibilities to the leaders in the church and taken none of that responsibility for themselves. Absolutely. And I shouldn't say that as broadly, but generally speaking, people are more apt to ask the leaders to behave a certain way than they are to ask of themselves or their peers to act in a certain way. I jotted down a handful of things that I think are the responsibility of the local congregation. Now, I believe this is probably an incomplete list, but I'll give you what I got. As a body of believers, we are to worship God together. We are to proclaim the gospel. We are to make disciples and teach one another. We are to encourage and build each other up, to love one another, to bear one another's burdens, to submit to spiritual leadership, to practice fellowship, to serve one another with our gifts, to give generously and cheerfully, to correct and restore in love, and to maintain unity in the Spirit. And I got scripture for all that.
I love it.
And that's just the tip of what I think we see outlined in the New Testament.
So you mean the local congregation responsibility is to disciple? Yeah. Wait, I thought the leaders were the only people that's supposed to disciple.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you ask, I think.
Now, I will say that the local church, I think in Western culture, we have often looked at the church as a place where we can receive or what the church is doing for us. So it's a very consumeristic posture. Mm-hmm. And none of what you said, Dave, was consumeristic. It actually was existing in a shared community around responsibility. And it looks different for leadership versus a local congregant, but there is still a responsibility when you step into that community that is at a peer level, but also in how you support and cover your leaders. So it's not just what is this church doing for me or what can I receive from the church, but it's how am I showing up and being present and active in a community.
And really, leaders should be part of that active community. It's not. The church has evolved over the last 2,000 years, and our structures and our Western culture has its own influence, and the Greek culture had its own influence, and Roman culture had its own influence, and the Eastern Orthodox Church is going to handle church structures and governance differently. But ultimately, when we look at the example that we have in the New Testament of what the church looked like, it's very fluid in terms of how leadership was structured, the exact roles of leadership in the local congregation, and I know we're going to talk about that in another episode. But the responsibility was on the community to be a community, and there were leaders among the community. It was not like, well, I shouldn't say that as authoritatively. There was an apostolic governance outside of the local communities, but in terms of the local body, there was a group that was both serving one another and submitted to a higher body of leadership. So it wasn't as consumeristic as you're talking about, which I think is one of the plagues of our current culture and really maybe the last several hundred years of church culture, which is I come here to receive, I don't come here to give.
I think when you all were talking, it made me think about, like when we're talking about the church, like the institution of the church, that's the family of God. I would imagine local churches are more, I guess if we were kind of to juxtapose this against like a family structure, like you've got the broad church, which is like this broad family, like big family reunion. And then you've got local churches, which are like, I would imagine to be like more nuclear. And I think maybe part of the problem, particularly in Western church, is that like we don't even know how to be family. Like we don't know what that means to be a brother, be a sister. Forget being a father or a mother. Like we don't even know how to be sisterly to each other and what that really means biblically. So I think it shows up in church because we don't know how to cover, we don't know how to hold each other accountable, we don't know how to teach each other, we definitely don't know how to disciple. Maybe, I'm throwing that out there for consideration.
I would agree that sent my mind down a whole different path, but I do agree. I think something I was gonna say, I guess it ties into this though, but I think also this concept that we have that Pastor Dave started with on talking about like leaders should do this, and I think Elder Dre mentioned too, like you have this job description for leaders, but I think we forget that the purpose of the leader is not to lord over you. They're supposed to be mirroring where you're headed. It's almost like if it's the leader's responsibility, hello, alarm should be going off, it's yours. Like that's the point of the leader, to show you what a template or mold can look like. And so any responsibility that a member is going to put on the leader, you need to turn around and realize that same responsibility applies to you. Otherwise, you're also communicating that's not your leader.
Oh, you probably need to say that again.
Because if your leader has to live up to a standard that you also are not called to, then where are they leading? They're not leading you anywhere. You're not following them. You're not following their manner, their mode. Paul told the church of Ephesus, imitate me as I imitate Christ. So if I cannot imitate my leader, but I can judge my leader, then I don't have a leader. I have somebody that I think is a part of a kingdom democracy and I get to have a vote and an opinion on. But I think we need a real reset on what we think about leadership in order to understand our own responsibility in the congregation.
Oh, no, you got it.
And I want to also make this practical because there's just like an uproar in the body of Christ of like, our leaders need to be better and you got this going on over here and this going over here. And when I was younger, I used to be like, you know what, God, like, touch the leaders, make us better. And I'm like, no, actually, if we're ever trash leaders, it's because the congregation allowed it.
Yep.
That's also true.
Okay.
And here's the thing.
And it was allowed before they became a leader. That's the real problem.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The trash was in the pews. That's how it ended up in the pulpit.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because we was called out from among y'all.
Absolutely.
And so actually,
Okay.
I have no reason to come up because y'all refuse to come up.
Absolutely.
I have no reason to learn nothing new because y'all don't want to learn nothing new.
Absolutely.
I have no reason to work on my character because the character that I have right now is suitable to lead you.
Absolutely.
And so if we're one community and we're all submitting to one another, right? Like, although I lead a team, I'm still submitted to my team,
Absolutely.
right? Like, I report to my son and my son reports to me.
That's
So
true.
although I'm leading this team, I still report to my team on a character level and on a JD level. My team gets to hold me accountable and say, hey, I don't know the fullness of your job, but I know like something ain't right. Or, hey, I'm not your elder, I'm not your leader, but I know this ain't the character of that, right? And so when the congregation decides to mature, then the leaders have no choice but to mature. Because how am I leading? How like what am I leading you unto? Like you said, like at this point you're your own leader.
Yeah. But to Elder Candace's point, I think what impedes on that is we don't know how to do family. So if I don't know how to do family and have real relationship, but then I want to judge you and tell you what you're doing, it doesn't come off familiar. So then there's a whole breakdown in the community, because now I can't even be effective in this community setting because I don't even know how to be a brother to you, but I know how to tell you when your stuff stinks. Like that's it all comes back to that communal family thing, and not this cult of democracy that we want to make the church.
Ooh, yeah.
Unpack that a little bit.
That's so good, Candace. I love it. You are good at that.
Yeah, I know. I'm anointed. I am anointed.
But I mean, the idea of the democratic cult is interesting because we do try to democratize leadership in the church.
Absolutely.
But then we follow it like we have a cult leader that is the one that is in charge across the board. And so the standards and the accountability is very difficult. And I think in every church, not every church, but a lot of churches are different in that regard in the way they operate, and there's different cultures within churches. So sometimes it is very dictatorship and sometimes it is very democratized. And I don't necessarily know, well, I don't think like a dictatorship can be taken very negatively, but I do think there's places where like a strong top head leader is acceptable in the church. And I think there's times where that can be really dangerous, because if they don't have accountability and they're unchecked, that is a problem. But as we're talking and thinking about that, the congregants' responsibility, right, which is both leaders and congregants are the same.
Agreed.
They're all the same.
Agreed.
So can you go a little bit further?
That's good.
Agreed.
To me, this is not to me, but this is a community. So we are all participants in the community. We are all the people of God. We might have different roles and responsibilities. We might have different wirings. We have different gifts that can serve in different ways. But ultimately, this is a community. And the core aspect of everything that I started off this conversation with is participation. So when Jasmine comes against consumerism, well, that's not participation. That is consumption. Participation is I come here and I offer my gifts to you as well as I get to receive the gifts that you have. And that's the beauty of the body of Christ. We get to see that Ricky can bring something to this table that I can't. And Candace can bring something to this table that I can't. And I can bring something to this table that Dre doesn't have or that Jasmine doesn't have. And we get to share in that experience. And that's the beauty of loving one another, practicing fellowship, serving one another with gifts. 1 Peter 4:10, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. That's part of my responsibility as a member of this community, as a member of this family. And we all are going to have different levels of responsibility, authority, gifting, and participation. But ultimately, we should all be participating in this. And the leader is as much a participant as the follower, and the follower is as much a participant as the leader.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
So I have a question. What does this look like? Let's just bring it home to all nations. If others are watching, great, but this is for all nations, right?
We used to be in the template.
you know, I am frustrated. I'm not a leader, but I have some.
What do you mean by that?
Well, no, when I
phrasing
like I'm.
Oh,
I'm
I see. I was like, okay.
I love the accountability right there.
I'm very confused.
No, in the example, I'm not a leader, but I do serve, right, at our church. I am frustrated. Because I come every Sunday and it's just not giving me what I'm looking for. And then I'm here on Tuesday nights or Wednesday nights for team whatever that I'm on. And it's fine because, I get to be with people in a smaller space, but it's just not, this isn't giving me what I came for. What do I do with that?
My first response to that is attending your local assembly. If you're not having a posture of consumerism, you're asking the question, today am I receiving or am I giving? And I think we often think about giving from the leadership perspective of if I have the mic or if I'm leading a team, but giving can be I'm next to my brother and my sister, I'm praying them through, or we're encouraging each other. And even though I may not walk away feeling like I got something from that service, I know that the Lord showed up in me so that my brother or my sister could be blessed. And so it goes back to that non-consumeristic familial community where it's both a give and receive. And so not every Sunday you'll walk out feeling like I got everything I needed. Your devotion time should be doing that for you. But that's
wait, roll it off.
That's good.
Pause it.
That's good.
What do you mean devotion? It's so much that's running through my mind right now.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Attack it right now.
Okay, so devotion.
Yes.
Briefly, what is devotion?
Succinctly, it is a time where you meet with God to receive what He has for you, either for that day or for the season.
Okay, so you're saying
That's pretty
that
good.
devotion, my personal devotion, should be feeding me.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Hey.
I don't know if I agree.
Ooh,
I don't know if I agree.
okay.
I think it is a feeding opportunity.
Okay.
But I do think if I can get solely fed on my own, it removes the need for community.
Well, I don't think the fullness of what you need comes from your devotion.
Okay.
I
agreed.
think that every time you do go into devotion, you are receiving something.
For sure.
Okay,
For
yes.
sure. But I think, to the point, I do think every time you come to your local assembly, it may not be your receiving time to
yes.
receive. However, I do think if every time you go to your local assembly, if you're always giving, I think you're running a risk.
I agree.
If you're always receiving, you're running the risk of
Absolutely.
arrested development.
Yes.
So I think there has to be a balance
Yes.
between the two. But I don't think solely devotionally.
I agree.
Because people go crazy.
No, I agree. No, I agree.
Okay.
But if you're still a part of said community, right? And when we talking about local church, it's not just about like, oh, did you come to Bible study or did you come to Sunday to get fed? Like, if you're a part of a local church, you are a part of a community. So even if you aren't being necessarily fed on Sunday, that community within the community should be helping you walk through that devotion. So like, you know, you might go through a season where it's like, you know what, it's just not given on Sundays. But that devotion should be impactful enough for your friends or your community or your leader, ministry leader or department lead to be like, what is God doing with you about this season? And helping you walk through that. And they should be able to pour into the seed that you received in devotion. So if we keep it on the community level, it's not just about like, if something gets said on the stage that is connected to your season or your life, it's the community's responsibility to edify and not just when you came to the gathering, what did you receive?
I agree, but then that leads to another question is, what determines what church I should be in? If it doesn't matter what's coming from the pulpit, then does it really matter what church I'm a part in as long as it's Christian and they're preaching the gospel?
I do think it matters because I think, and this is mystical.
Okay.
I knew you was about to get mystical.
Here we go.
I do think based on, you know, the responsibilities that God has for you specifically, the way God has wired you or whatever, He should be leading you to said communities. And we see that with Paul, right? Like, Paul is a member of the Jerusalem church. He goes on a mission, and then he's a part of Antioch, but he doesn't go to Antioch.
Fair.
But he spends time at Antioch. So now Paul is a part of two communities before he's even launched out to do this apostolic mission. And then he goes, and now he's a part of 3-4 more communities. Then we see Peter, the same thing. Like, so of course, throughout your Christian journey, as you are serving the Lord, right? Because if you're just receiving, you ain't gonna be where you're supposed to be. If you are connected to what God created you to be, and you are, I'm not gonna say aggressive, but you are walking that thing out, you are also going to be where you're supposed to be, whether it's Life Church Tabernacle or Baptist Assemblies of God, I don't know. But if you're where you're supposed to be, then God is going to make sure that that community is what's giving you edification and not just the pulpit specifically. And then there's times where the pulpit may just be like, for me, All Nations for like 5 years, it was like the pulpit got everything I need.
That is
Like, it was like Jesus, like every week. It's just, and then around COVID, I had to get busy.
Yeah.
Oh, agreed.
I had to get busy, and it was my brothers feeding me. Right now, they wasn't coming in like manna from heaven, but it was like, no, it's time to actually work out the seeds that were in there. Right, it's time to actually grow this thing. So you may not be edified, but you're being challenged to grow what's in you, which I think it still is edification.
Agreed.
It just looks.
Agreed.
It doesn't look like receiving. It looks like partnership, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So I think everybody needs to be concerned about. I think everybody should be able to identify: am I in a receiving season? Am I in a partnership season? Or am I in a it's time to move aggressively in the call of God season? And I think that cycle, I think everybody is going to go through that cycle. You need to, it's your responsibility to know where you land in that.
That's very cute.
Yeah, very
that
true.
was very
Cute.
nice.
Okay.
That was very
Wait, why the word
No,
cute?
like I wasn't being like that wasn't shade this time.
Oh, no.
This time. That was superb. I'm glad we got that on camera.
It was the Holy
Yeah.
Ghost.
It was phenomenal. I like, and I think to your point or question, I think when you are sure that you are in the community, in the church, that God has directed you to, coupled with tracking the like what point in the cycle you are, when the legitimate frustrations appear, you can acknowledge that I'm frustrated. This actually may not be working in the ways that it should, but I'm planning because I know that I'm supposed to be here, and I'm in this particular area in the cycle where even this is working something out of me.
Absolutely.
I am being challenged for this seed that was planted to mature in such a way where I really start to look like the God that I serve.
Oh, absolutely.
So
And we're usually frustrated in the season where we're challenged to be mature.
And then we
all
leave.
the time.
Yeah.
And then we leave the church.
Absolutely. And then when we actually come out of it, we be like, dang, I missed the lesson. So
true.
anytime
Or
you
you
see
in another testing, or you're in the same test in
Right.
another space.
In another space.
which is pretty much maturity. Like
Yeah.
every time we get into that space where it's like, why am I even here? Or why does this relationship even exist? Or it's always, once we come out of it, we be like, oh, I was wrong. Because I just refuse to grow up.
Yeah, refuse to
true.
submit to the process.
It's going to always
is
be
true.
that. Because it was
Always.
lit when it was receiving time. Everything I needed. I mean, I was pulling up on anybody. Everybody had an answer. Like, God was just mounting everybody. And they was just, I'm just like, oh, I ain't even know that. You know, like, yeah, some lady in the back, I don't even know her name. She just gave me the word of, like, when it's receiving time, this church rocking. But then when it's time to grow up, it's, I have a problem with this. I have a problem with that. This person is doing this. This person is doing that. They didn't even speak to me today. They spoke last week. No, you need to grow up.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
You are
I do
in
agree.
growing up season. Ain't nothing wrong. Now, there are things wrong with every church.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when you are forced to grow up, those problems become magnetized.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Because who you really irritated with is yourself.
That's very true.
It ain't them.
I don't know. Sometimes it's them.
Now, devil's advocate, I will say sometimes, but it doesn't change the process.
It doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just
It
kidding.
is. Because they were probably messy before the receiving season was done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but you know it's
But that's
easy to
people.
swallow a bitter pill if you put it in something sweet.
You so southern. You southerners got the greatest quotes. How you just come up with that? Like that was just beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah, so it is something. It's something. Yeah. And people are to your point when you're not forced to grow up and you're immature in that season. You just eating all the sweet stuff, so you don't even have the maturity to deal with. Yeah, that was sweet, but that their character was off, or all of this is going. And then when you're forced to grow up, I think the first person you're going to see in that process is yourself anyway.
Right.
Even when you start seeing it in other people, it's really a mirror for you.
Yeah.
I don't like this in you because somewhere in here is also operating, and I
Absolutely.
think that's what that grow up season does. To your
And it could also be wrong position. Like you could probably be fed up with. You may just actually be beyond where you're serving,
Now that's good.
but you're probably serving there because you're good at it,
That's good.
right? Like
Bring that.
Yeah, I was like,
Bring it home to
Yeah,
all nations. Can you make it a little bit more
absolutely.
clear?
Yeah, that's
I
good.
am a professional media director. Professional.
Oh, professional.
Like
Yes.
Okay.
I came to all.
Resume.
I came to all nations.
Right now.
The first place I served was media.
Yeah.
all I know is media. Like I've been in ministry all my life, but I've been in media ministry all my life.
Got it.
So I can go anywhere and be like, first place I'm serving is media, because I know how to do it. But that's what most people do. Because they know how to do it, they believe that's what they're called to serve.
That's so
The
good.
same with me with singing.
That's so okay.
Oh.
But I get it. You
love
right,
God.
you're a great alto.
Absolutely.
Amazing alto.
Absolutely. But God doesn't have me there.
But I believe I'm called to media because I'm good at it. So I joined a media team. This just ain't right. Like, we ain't organized. They won't tell us when prayer starts. They don't start sound check on time. This church is just all out of control.
That's so good.
It's they won't let us, expand creatively. We can't make the posts we want to make. We can't make stuff fall off the sky. You know what? I think my season,
God.
yeah, I got to go somewhere where they're going to let me use my gifts the way I want to use it.
That's so good.
Oh, use your gifts the way you want to use it.
Absolutely, because that's what's really that's really the root.
Yeah.
And this happened to me
sure.
twice. Like I'm actually like I'm talking about who I used to be before I got to All Nations. I pushed a whole pastor like, this is what we should be doing. This is what's going on. Didn't know that was for All Nations. I'm talking about 16-year-old Dre.
Wow.
And I'm like, we should be doing this. We should be doing that. Y'all out of order. Like, rah, rah, rah. I'm having visions. I mean, all kind of visions. I'm like, I know what I saw. I didn't see that church. I saw All Nations.
Wow.
Wow.
And so we impose our gifts and what we saw on a community.
Oh, absolutely.
And then because we are aware of a standard, right? We impose that, and then now we're clashing with leadership, we're clashing with everybody around us, and that was like, yeah, I might have to head out.
That's
right?
so good.
And so when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I had to get out of that dead church. No, I needed to grow up.
Yeah.
I was out of order. But we see that in every other space.
That's good.
I also, because I want to boomerang it back to Dre, but also thinking about how you've gone from media to prayer team, what was the grow up process for you in that in terms of impacting the congregation?
Oh, we don't have time for that.
We don't.
That's a 60-minute.
It's not. It's quick. The community.
Okay.
The community hit me with you can't just stay in media. It was and I didn't have the thought that, like, the fact that I'm not on the media team right now, I would have never dreamed that. That was never a part of my plan, right? But it was the brothers, it was the sisters. Like, what's happening? Why are you in media?
I love that.
And so it's the community that's supposed to play that role of the seed, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
But then you are also touching on something that we hate. It's called accountability.
Oh, well, yeah.
I couldn't run away from it. They was tearing me up.
But what does it look like? What does it feel like to be accountable? Because I think it's and again, like, bringing it to All Nations, it's easy or I would imagine that it is easy. Let me find my words. I think it appears as if it's easy for, and I'll just use Ricky. Ricky has a close relationship with our senior leader. I think it would be easy to be like, well, of course Ricky can be accountable to his pastor and spiritual father. But what does it look like for Apostle Matthew Stevenson to be over here doing all of what he's doing, and he gives Ricky instruction, but that's it. Like, okay, do the thing. But if we are also aware of the instruction, Ricky, didn't he tell you? Didn't he tell you to do this? And Ricky says, you are not Matthew Lewis. I don't receive. I don't listen to. What does it look like for us to, with our various relationships, hierarchical relationships with spiritual mothers, fathers, pastors, and that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Yes. Deep breath. What does it look like for us to be accountable to each other?
Easy.
He said easy.
The
Easy.
leader.
Easy.
The leader is able to see what most can't, right? But that leader is going to help you. Is going to give you these tools to make sure that you have insight for the next level of where you're going. The brothers help you pass the test.
That's so good.
So when you keep going through the same test and going through the same cycle, is because you believe that only your leader can tell you what to do. But on a family level, your brothers and sisters know you in a way your parents don't.
Well, I'm an only child, so.
Okay.
Your cousins.
Right.
Your cousins, like.
Okay.
Don't self-select out.
Exactly.
Spirit of pride.
I was like speaking for the only children.
No, that's
who may
good.
not
That's
have-
good.
Okay,
No,
that's
that's
good.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, your friends.
Thank you.
Your friends know you
Okay.
in a way that your parents don't. You can go to your parents and be like, "Yeah, I've been doing great," and your friends like, "Now you know you full of, you full of it, right?" Your brothers and sisters know the full of it part of you, and it's their responsibility to be like, because what we do is say, "He a grown man, she a grown." They'll be okay. They got the Holy Ghost. No, there's no. I don't know where in the Bible it said like, leave everybody to themselves. They got the Holy Ghost. Just let them figure it out. It was the community that's supposed to pull you into what God calls you to do, and not just leader. Because remember, Paul, who was the spiritual parent of these churches, he's not there. You know how long it takes these leathers to get there.
But even look at Paul. He's almost never alone. He's not. You rarely see him alone. You know, even when he's in prison with Silas. He's traveling with Timothy. He's commissioning somebody else. He's going back to the Jerusalem church to get instruction and verification. He's never really alone.
I think another point to the whole family accountability thing, back to what Elder Candace was saying, I also am a firm believer in the Old and New Testament. So I know in the New Testament is very nice, very kind, but you know, they families fought in the Old Testament. And I think
we had judges for a reason.
Yes, very much so. And I think we do this accountability and family a disservice when we refuse to fight each other. I think I think it's necessary, and people who have big families also know what it's like to have siblings fighting and to have aunts fighting, to have cousins fighting. The thing is, at the end of the day, we're still family. And we may fight over here, we don't fight outside, we're fighting in the streets. But we fight because we love each other, we're holding each other accountable because we both are aiming for the same thing. And I think sometimes we have this skewed, watered down version of Christianity that's so full of roses and love and kisses that if we don't fight, there's an element of my love you will never experience. It's the same thing with God. He calls it chastisement.
Well, go back to one of everybody's favorite verses, iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
Do you think hitting iron is a nice process?
Absolutely.
Like we pretend like, oh, it's great. Like iron sharpens iron. I'm Ricky's brother. Like look at us. Mm-hmm. But it's like that friction that's painful.
Very much so.
And so I agree with you 100%. Those are the places where we really grow up. That's where maturing really happens, is when we can actually sit here, we can disagree, we can work through it, we can mature together, and we can continue forward. What does it mean to love each other in unity? Well, obviously we're going to disagree. 90% of Paul's letters are dealing with disagreements.
Absolutely.
So it's not new that we would disagree today, but how do we love one another through that? And how do we preserve unity? And how do we preserve the gospel? And how do we preach it? And how do we move it forward in those differences?
Absolutely agree. I think Chief used to say this all the time too. I think it's important to keep the main thing as well.
Right.
Because if that changes, then now your fighting runs the risk of becoming toxic. And for me, toxic fighting is there's no development after this, there's no growth after this, there's still no accountability after this. But if you keep the main thing, like we're still reaching for the aim and the goal to be a beautiful reflection of the Savior. And as long as that is even above whatever the mission of your church, the goal of your church, whatever project you're working, above all of that stuff is, we are all aiming to look more and more like Jesus every day. And I'm confronting you about your accountability or confronting you about whatever is going on in your character, not because it's impeding on your assignment right now, because your assignment will change from season to season. What will not change is your destiny to look like Christ.
Yes.
And that has to be the main thing. And I think it keeps love at the center of it without it becoming toxic.
I think that's amazing. And we should consider a second follow-up episode to this where we talk more about the practicality of what that looks like.
Absolutely.
It just reminds me of definitely during the pandemic when everyone was home, and I think everyone got comfortable with being at home, and And then when everything kind of started to come back, you know, you just, and myself included, I was just like, you know what, this couch has gotten nice. This view from the television is working out. And there is something to be said about physically being in the community of the saints.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's easy when you're on the couch and you don't have to have any conflict with the other person.
No
But
one to
it's
tick you
also
off.
not growing you up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So go to church.
Go to church.
Go to church.